with the saltwater mutation coursing through its blood. The swamp had nothing left to offer. No prey, no future. Driven by hunger, I left the shallows behind. I swam into the open sea, heading for the southern beaches, the place where turtles often gathered. The journey took nearly an hour, and now starvation was closing in. I spotted some food, and as I made my way there, I got denied by the presence of a raptor. But, lucky for me, the raptor decided to drag the food towards me. I have no idea why I did that, but I was too hungry to ask questions. This would sustain me even before a little. However, I wanted my belly full, and this was not enough. These beaches are awfully active, and as such, it wouldn't take long for a battle to break out. As a tiny opportunist, I drew in closer, hoping for a slip up for one of them to fall into the ocean. And as it turns out, I was not alone. More Deinosuchus knew about this place, and I decided to size up the competition. He seemed to be about the same size as me, so I drew in closer to have a good hard look. And as the Deinosuchus once more appeared, I noticed it had a turtle. I thought about attacking it, but then quickly realized that it was much larger than I was. So instead, I tried to be social. Now there's one thing I know, and that is when people do not answer you, they are not friendly. But I was also hungry. I made a risky move. See what he wanted. Although it was quite spooky. I wasn't sure if he would leave me alone or if he would devour me. He was approaching me menacingly, and honestly, I was kind of shitting myself here. But I decided to try and to call him. It seemed he was already grouped up with somebody else, and that there were more Deinosuchus in the area. Another one I didn't see that could have skinned me alive. I needed to get away from here. I found food, and I decided to just chow. Way too hungry to pay attention to my surroundings. I ended up getting blindsided once more. However, I was just very lucky that these other dinos were not hostile towards me. However, I know how things are when food runs out. Me being the smallest here, I decided to once again migrate, and I headed for Westro axis. The journey would take a long time. But little by little, I got closer and closer to my destination. And on the way, I smelled some food in the far distance. And I decided to go for a little snack. After which, I resumed my journey. It was pretty peaceful. And I truly enjoyed taking in the sightings and my surroundings. It was quite chill. And at one point, I ran into a pterosaur chilling on a rock. And it just added to the scenery. The coastline was truly beautiful. And I was just soaking in it, quite literally. Filled with all these wonders and majestic creatures. And there it goes. Westro axis. I realized I might have made a mistake coming here. It was like this huge lack of food. Not only that, but there was just, yeah, Just a huge lack of life to begin with. I came here hoping that some baby trikes would cross this part, knowing how slow they would swim and how well they could feed me. But sadly, there was just nothing here. And I really came here for nothing. I saw a group of Deinosuchus. They were tail slamming something, so I figured food for me. But it seems they were just playing around with each other, and yeah, all of them way too big. I was not equipped to deal with that group. Maybe if it was a big croc, I could have come out of the water, bait them into attacking me. But at my size, what was I gonna do? Luckily, however, I managed to detect several scents. Chow time. But besides that, and a turtle or two I managed to score, I sadly had to make my way back. On the bright side, I was now much larger than when I left these waters. And I was hoping that the dinos that were here earlier, which in theory would have been larger now as well, were no longer there. And luckily that was the case, and I was the only Deinosuchus in this area. It seems that South Beach just has the most potential right now to be a croc-in, because of its constant flow of activity, constant opportunities. And as such, I was about to run into an opportunity myself. Right off the bat, as I got back. See, the situation is that a few carnivore were hunting for raptors, while I was just fishing for turtles. As for turtles, by the way, I know that they are not on the diet of the Deinosuchus, but here's a little clever tip for me. If you let the turtles rot, they will turn into the line diet. So I would kill the turtles and then leave them behind to consume later on. But here I saw some swimming activity, and I decided to give that a look. Now, I don't think I'm big enough yet to snatch a carno, but the raptor I'm hearing should definitely be within my range. I was thinking about hiding underneath this rock, and then if the Carnotaurus would swim, I might have an opportunity. Because I believe you can grab weight much higher than normal when it's swimming. I don't know the exact values. Oh, a gift. Maybe the Carno will swim and come and take it, allowing me to get a bigger prize. But sadly he did not. I don't know if he noticed me. But he left the water. And I wasn't able to cash in on that opportunity. Although I still had food. It should be more than enough to feed me for the time being. I wasn't that big yet. I heard some tappy taps on the rock. But to my surprise, there was another raptor completely stranded. This raptor was royally screwed. That is not a place you want to be in when there's a Deinosuchus in the water. I tried to climb up on the rock, and to my surprise I just couldn't scale it. So after a bit of skill issuing, I decided to try plan B instead. So I tried to launch at him, and surprisingly that worked. So now I had 2 raptor bodies for the price of 1 and a turtle. I was set. Now I could just relax a bit and grow in peace. So I retreated to a nearby island. I made it my own. Here I would spend most of my time growing and coming out only when truly required. And I realized that hunting with a nearly full stomach would give me a lot of peace of mind. No pressure, no rush. I could take my sweet time. And as I was observing a Tenonto fighting 2 Carnotaur, I was hoping for the Tenontosaurus to start water camping. However, they were taking their fight away from the beach. And I decided to lie in wait as a true opportunist. Nothing I could do by going on land, so this was the only play I had. After a while I realized that they couldn't find Tenonto. I imagine it has hidden himself within those bushes. So I did something a little bit clever, considering the fact that they couldn't find the Tenonto. I basically made them think that the Tenonto was trying to escape via the ocean by making a little bit of sound. Like a moth to a flame, the Carnotaur is investigated. And I had my meal. This was a really good score. So I took him out to sea and I simply drowned him. And after that, I had a lovely meal. And I managed to grow quite a bit because of it. Now a good while later I returned to the beach, only to find a similar situation. Once again, a bunch of Carnos hunting a Tenontosaurus. And once again I was hoping for a water camp situation. But for the most part, I was just observing. As I was growing and not really in need of food, this was just some, what shall I call it, like spare time entertainment? I was just enjoying the scenery and spectating their fight. I was at a size now where I didn't really fear them anymore. Like, I wouldn't want to be caught on land, but at the waterline, bring it on, bro. This Carnotaurus was eyeballing me. So before they could get any ideas, I would show them that I was not afraid of them. You want some? Come get it. But I warn you, I'm big enough to pick you up. I couldn't pick up the Tenno yet though. I was just a little bit too small for that. So I wouldn't want to mess with the Tenno just yet. But those Carnos, no problem. A while later I caught them going after an Omni. And honestly, if the Omni would die this close to the water, that was pretty much a free meal for me. I know one of them saw me, because the water is just that clear. And as I saw the hunt go south for the raptor, I simply scooped in and made my claim. Move. What you want, chum? I was at a size where I could start throwing my weight around and yeah, get away with it. However, I was also at a size where raptors wouldn't fill me up that much anymore. I was getting bigger. Much bigger. So I just simply had to go for bigger things. As the raptor would not really fill me anymore. Good thing I was nearly full. Imagine having to eat that on an empty stomach. You would still be in trouble. So I set my sights on the Cardos and the Tenanto. I figured if I was a little bit more bold about it, I could maybe lure them into a conflict. So I revealed myself and hoped that their ego would do the rest. Come get me, boys. That Trudon is loud as hell. I don't know what his deal is. Haha, bro, I'm not here to be friendly. You're on the menu. Oh. Also, if the Tenanto kills one of them, I'm taking it. Seemed like my idea was not going to work. They were too fixated on the Tenantosaurus. Until this one took an interest in me. They briefly shifted their attention towards me. Testing me for weaknesses. They were trying to bait me for an attack to create openings. But I was way too patient for that, and I simply didn't flinch. Maybe I should have faked. Created an opening so they would think I was weaker than I truly was. As the server was about to hit a restart, I treated back to my islands. Decided to go for a little nap. And then come back later. When everybody thinks that I am gone. And when I returned, to my surprise, the Tenno and the Carnos were still going at it, although I could only see one of the Carnos. So I just waited. Figured if one of them would die, I could claim the prize. With only one Carno on the beach, I wouldn't mind stepping on land. Won conflicts like that before. However, for now I was getting a bit hungry and decided to check around for turtles instead. But I noticed something. That is that the turtles are not always here. Sometimes they just don't exist. Not quite sure how to force them to appear or what the right time is to look for them. Or what even the conditions are for them to be here, but it was empty. So I had a little problem. I was getting bigger fast, but with nothing to sustain me. I heard a raptor tree call, so I was like, well, there's a Carno there and a Tonanto. Odds are they will actually go for each other. I should probably investigate that. An Omniraptor was trying to solo the Tonantosaurus, which is doable. And I decided to just let it play out. Didn't really matter which side would win, I would be able to, cash in on it either way. A raptor won't stop me from eating a Tonanto. And I was big enough now to pick up the Tonanto, so I really didn't mind. I didn't see the raptor die, so I didn't know if it escaped or ran away. But I noticed this Tonanto performing some odd behavior. He knew I was here. So I showed myself to see what he wanted. It was clear as day to me. He was showing me that there's a dead raptor. This Tonantosaurus was feeding me. I looked at my stomach and I was like, you know what? Sure. If you're gonna try to be nice to me, fine. Why not? That could have been a ploy, of course, to get me on land to kick the shit out of me. But no. He genuinely just wanted to feed me. And honestly, with the state Dino is in, I wasn't gonna pass on any free food. It would all be equally welcome into my belly. However, this Tana was a little bit weird. It was not much later that he actively went after a deer to feed me once again. And he had me feeling a little bit awkward. Because here was a herbivore being very kind to me. And even though I am a merciless killer, kindness is actually my weakness. It's usually what disarms me from wanting to kill someone. I don't know why, but as soon as you show me kindness, you completely disarm any will I have towards assassinating you. Honestly, I don't know what he was thinking here. He decided to enter the water with me. And I was just staring at it like, what is this guy doing? So, I picked him up and then brought him back to land. I was like, bro, stop feeding me. You're going too far. Go be bait for other things. But something really weird happened. It was like insisting. And he entered the water again. This is where I started to get a little bit irritated. Because I don't like mixed packing, bro. Was he done with life and feeding me? Did he want to play with me? So I decided to troll him a little. And I put him on an island. It's like, well, if you want to swim so badly, here, I'll give you a ferry. And apparently he just didn't appreciate that. He was shaking no. Then he was attacking me into the water. And I was like, well, if you really want to die, then come in the water again and I'll do it. So I had about enough of it. Like, it was very kind, but I don't know, bro. So I killed him. And I had a new scarf. Rocking the latest Tenno fashion. How much I enjoyed these hunting grounds, I decided to make my little home in here. I noticed an opening in the rocks and it was just perfect as a little dino home. This was the base of operations. This is where I could chill. However, food ran scarce and I had to move. So I decided to go to the beach around the corner. I knew that there was a possibility to find some turtles there as well, among other things. And maybe if I was lucky, I would even find some action there. It was quite huge. Like, I could be seen from the sky. It was getting harder to hide. On this beach, I mainly found a bunch of turtles. Basically, just went for a little walk. Like, it's a lot more calmer than on the other side. And yeah, I ate, I think, a turtle or two. When I came back, because the same story, food was scarce. I noticed that it was getting very, very misty, which meant low visibility. So, I had a benefit of going back and maybe score something by setting up an ambush under these weather conditions. Because I couldn't see shit. However, underwater, that was a completely different story. It was actually quite beautiful. Much better than what was happening above the waves. Like, the difference was amazing. Sadly, I wasn't very lucky with ambushing and I just ended up eating a turtle or two again. It wasn't until a few days later that I actually managed to get some action. A small croc swam out to me, and I couldn't help but being me and being friendly. So I took him under my wing. I noticed that the Trudons had been killing some baby Saras, and even though it wasn't really something that could sustain me or worth going out for, I figured I'd give the little guy a snack. So I had it out of the water and I basically went for the food. They had two bodies anyway, so stealing one of them wasn't a big deal. And on my way back I got attacked by a Maya, out of all things. After a firm bite to the head, it left me alone. And I was able to feed the little guy. This wouldn't be the last time that me and Amaya would meet. And something truly strange happened after that. I heard a Peggy. And to my surprise, he was coming right at me. However, I could not hit him. I had no idea what was going on. At first I thought he was maybe coming for the baby, trying to hit it or assassinate it. But I realized something else was at play here. Maybe some desync, something really weird. Whatever it was, I couldn't quite explain it. And to my shock, the little guy said he couldn't even see the Becky, so I was really wondering, like, am I on drugs right now? Am I seeing things? Am I hallucinating? Did a dino bite me? Like, I had questions. I am just glad that the Becky is actually on the footage and that I'm not crazy. Later on, as I was just calmly looking for some turtles, I got harassed by two Saras. Which is kind of annoying. Like, every time I came on the beach to grab a bit of food, they would just grab it and lure it away. That other one was even baiting me, dropping its food and then picking it back up and then taking it away from me and stuff like that. I was getting bullied. So, at the first chance I had, I took my revenge and I stole their kill. And after a lovely meal together with Junior here, I raided their nest. And stole the food that they had. I noticed that the Saras had killed another Sara. And I was a full grown, so I was just gonna lay claim to that and just take it with me. For a moment I thought about fighting them. But I quickly realized that it's probably better not to do that against Saras, because they're pretty strong and they can punch up quite high. So I just picked up the body again and continued my way into the ocean. And bring it as a gift for the little one. who was actually being harassed by another Sarah. We had an infestation on our hands. So, I delivered the body and I quickly let him know that Dad is home. That he should better get on his way. And honestly, it's quite rough to be a Dino right now. No fish, forced into the ocean, forced onto this specific beach. I don't think you can make it anywhere else at the moment. I had a fun time growing this thing though, and might do it sometime again, but I'm probably gonna wait until everything works again because this was atrocious. That said, we got turtles for days here, and if you're thinking about growing a Dino, I highly recommend this place. I managed to make it, so can you. Thanks for watching.